Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the Halo TV show episode. You guys wanted more. I put episode 1 out there. I had an idea that I'd be doing more of these, but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the response of how many people wanted to see me keep making these kind of off-the-cuff videos. Again, I have some very minimal notes on my phone here. Otherwise, I'm literally hot off, fresh, watching the second episode, and I'm just gonna dive into it and talk about my thoughts, right? So it's a review, but it's not like I'm giving this a number rating or anything, and just kind of expressing my thoughts and seeing what you guys think as well, because I loved the comments on the last episode. There's a lot of interesting stuff to read. Seems like a lot of you agreed with me. Not always, obviously, but some neat stuff. So this time around, and pretty much from here on out, we're not going to do any this part's not spoiler, this next part's spoiler. All the rest of these reviews are going to be just full-on spoiler-free. I'm not going to warn you that a spoiler's coming up. It's all spoilers, so let's just dive into it relatively chronologically. This episode, there's a lot of setup, build-up. Obviously not even slightly close to how exciting episode 1 was, and that's kind of to be expected for a couple reasons, right? This is something we got to get used to. TV shows, especially in this format, they have the ebbs and flows. They tend to have some episodes that are just not as thrilling, not as action-packed, but I don't know. This one, it's tough to say, right? It's gonna be interesting looking back on this one once we've watched a couple more episodes after this. I think it's very likely that the next episode will have some cool stuff. Obviously, I said it chronologically, but now I'm skipping to the end. Obviously, next episode is going to be about Cortana, I assume, unless they're going to keep delaying that, but I think it's pretty obviously going to be about the implementation of Cortana and that whole bubble situation right off the bat, going into the young Spartans and their armor, and that's the first thing I thought about was that, these guys can just casually suit up in their Mjolnir armor and run away, you know what I mean? And obviously they implied something just connected. Obviously they implied that he lived in the forest and ate bark and bugs and stuff, right? And that was a whole thing. But I don't know, it's just immediately caught my eye, wow, for such an important secret program, they can just casually steal their own Spartan armor and run. I found that weird. I found this whole episode to me had a lot of weird unanswered questions, weird loose threads and it's so hard for me as a Halo fan to truly separate myself, because I would love to see if new viewers who know nothing about Halo are really following along with some of this stuff, because there's a lot of new stuff, obviously it is, and you really need, especially this episode, to separate yourself from the source material. This is definitely changing a lot. I said, we discussed this in the first review, that it's an alternate timeline, yada yada yada, but it still felt very grounded. This episode really felt like they just turned it into overdrive of we're a whole different thing. All right, get it clear, we're a whole different thing. Chief wears his helmet for a second in this episode, so already going down a route that I don't like. I hope that's because it's just this episode. This episode was very small space discussions. I actually quite liked the asteroid planet thing. I think that was really cool. I think Soren is great. I love that actor. I think he really, really nailed it. I loved that chemistry and interaction between those two, or those four, rather. 4? 5? Group of them. Big group of them. I like that. I thought that was really cool. And I've always said, I just think Halo especially has historically, when it comes to a lot of Halo media, really shined in small spaces. Whether that's just Chief and Cortana, whether that's just Chief, whether that's Chief and Lasky, whether that is... Oh man, I think I hit the nail there with Chief and Lasky stuff. Has just, in my opinion, in Halo history, some of my top favorite Halo moments have just been Chief talking to Lasky. Like, there's some bangers in there. Segue into a comment that Soren made, right when he's like, he's walking away from Soren. Soren's like, you're just a machine. I'm like, oh, that's great. They're hearkening back to that, the Halo 4 style that, we've had. It feels like every Halo game, we explore a different element here. Halo 5 with Chief going rogue, and that is obviously very prominent in these first 2 episodes, right? Chief's going rogue, Chief's his own thing. And then, that you're just a machine and dealing with that. I didn't touch on in the first episode because I don't know. It was just, what do I say? That Chief, that the kids, the Spartans, don't know about their past. That, those memories are coming back to him and he's got to wrestle with that. And Halsey, I also really like Halsey. Like, I think, and I wonder if you guys agree, I like the casting. I do. I really like all these actors. I think they're doing a great job. I still really, really like Miranda Keyes. She's great. I think she's doing, like, I loved when they were walking, like, it reminded me of The Matrix, when they were walking down the hallway, and she was, running into other people who are, like, all the other scientists and stuff, and personnel who were walking, she was bumping into them. It reminded me of that scene from The Matrix. Well, that was a pretty cool scene, well shot. There's a few of those, and I definitely can't fault the VFX in this episode. I liked the VFX almost universally in this episode. I still think, I don't know what it is about the elites, man. I don't know if they got the least attention or something, or they're complicated. I don't know. I still think that's the weakest VFX. But overall, like, especially, again, whatever all of the asteroid stuff was awesome. That city looked great. All that stuff looks good. Looks really, really good. I really liked when they were going through slip space and Chief was about to explain how slip space works. Like, it's like a ball of yarn. And she goes, "You're ruining it." I love that. Like, don't even bother. Honestly, don't bother. It's, hyper jumps. They happen. They exist. It's like trying to really explain time travel in movies. It's like, it's not worth it. We've been here a million times. I liked that. I thought that was a great decision, rather than treating us like dumb little babies and doing the same typical, oh, well, you're folding space and doing all that kind of stuff. Been done to death a billion times over, so I'm glad that they took that route. I thought that was a really good decision of just, don't worry about it. Right? I thought that was good. That was really fun. In this episode, Chief gets very emotional. This whole episode is very human, emotional, and that's where it's hard to. Now, I haven't read all the books, but I struggle to see how this isn't wholly unique, that they're definitely taking, I guess, they're taking their own spin on this with emotions, and Chief really getting angry and throwing that dude up against the wall, and I get that during that scene he was, kind of mind boggled by the artifact. That's interesting. So, they have these prisoner crazy people that have all interacted with the Covenant. This guy, it sounds like they were keeping him for a while, and he got to see a lot of stuff and learn a lot of things about the Covenant. He's aware of, what's her name, Maki, the human working with the Covenant. He's aware of that, and he knows a lot about this kind of stuff, and they instantly say Halo is a weapon. Episode 2, Halo is a weapon. This is interesting to me. My first thought when I heard this was like, oh, man, you spoiled that one, but it's tough because we all know it. I guess not everyone, right? Like, obviously not new fans and stuff, but it's a tough one. Because there's something so cool about the original Halo story about Chief going there and trying to activate it, but then learning as he's activating it that he shouldn't activate it. So now what? Now that he's aware it's a weapon and he's aware he's got to destroy it, before he even seen the ring, he has this plan that they're gonna take down the ring, right? So this concerns me. I want season 2, because it's not gonna happen this season. Season 2 to be all about the ring, all about Halo, and almost like Halo CE. And I hope maybe that's the direction they go. I want that so bad. But now there's some wrenches in there, because Chief's not going to be trying to activate it, right? Because he wants to destroy it, unless he thinks that's how he destroys it. And I hope Guilty Spark comes back. I feel like he has to. Is that going to happen? Where's the flood? This implies certainly, maybe not. I'm second guessing it now. What if they don't include the flood in this? It's possible now. It is possible that they do not include the flood in this series. I didn't think so last episode, but now with how they're explaining things, they're just treating Halo as a weapon. Maybe they're just going to gloss over a lot of that stuff. Well, Chief is a blessed one who's able to activate stuff, and so there's the kind of that. The humans are Forerunner element there, but they're going to touch on the flood. What if it's just, an ancient ring that shoots stuff, right? Like, is it going to be what it actually is, right? How true are they going to stay to that? Because they even have the prophets' names. Like, it's like now it's again, I wish I didn't have prior knowledge, because I'm not disliking this show so far. While this episode was a lot more kind of traditionally sci-fi, right, where it's not big action, it's just people walking and talking about what they're doing, and then another group of people walking and talking about what they're doing, and that's fine, especially in a TV show where you have bajillions of hours to do things. This is fine. I'm going to disagree with anyone being like, well, this should have been more exciting. Well, it doesn't have to be. It's a TV show, right? If it was a whole movie that was this, maybe not good, but it's an episode, right? And there's a lot of episodes to come. You got to set some stuff up. We set up finally that Cortana is now approved. Cortana's going to happen. So that was important to set up. We set up that Halo is a ring, is a weapon, and Chief wants to take down the ring. For better or worse, that was set up, and that's important. We set up Soren. I like Soren. That's cool. Yeah, it is strange now, though. I just really don't know where things are going. And part of that excites me. Part of that, I was actually really, really excited to watch episode 2. I don't know about you guys, and honestly, I think of every question I have after this is that specifically. Have you been excited to watch the next episodes? As I am, totally, because I don't know what's gonna happen, where it's going, and it's so, especially with Chief being so helmetless all the time. I hope that was just this episode. It is such a unique side story, right? I don't think it should be tied in any way now to anything we know about Halo, and that's obvious, but you're gonna get way more enjoyment out of this series if you just go, here's a thing, and there's Spartans, and there's like Halo factors in it that are cool. Yay. There was that really violent scene of the UNSC sympathizer guys that were just executing people on Madrigal. Like, oh my god. And then he looks at the one person's face and still execute. Like, some of these are violent. That's violent. I mean, I like it. I love that. Let's bring it. That's awesome. But wow, I did not expect that. And I can't be the only one that I get it, like thinking about it, how all that works and the politics of that, what's going on there. I didn't feel like it was accurately explained. Am I wrong in thinking that? I feel like for something that is so fresh and new, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of factions now being introduced, and we're going to continue having these loose ends. Like, they've got a lot to tie up. Could just be me. We'll see. I was laughing in my mind at the beginning of this episode, just thinking, how long until we see nudity in this show? We see nudity in this show. Unnecessary. Well, I don't know. Well, that's the funny thing. Like, can I even say that? Because it's like, I'm sitting here praising brutal executions, and I'm like, nudity. I take it back. I take that back. Those are the same. I can't praise violence and then condemn nudity in the same breath. I can't do that. So, you know what? Bring it. More. Sure. But that one did feel like, why? I get they wanted to show us the crazy scar and stuff, and then her, I assume you guys picked up on that the whole notion was her really just kind of looking at herself like, I'm a human, right? Like, this is where do I belong kind of thing. And she's wrestling with that, obviously. But nudity, there you go. There you have it. I was like, whoo! Oh, God. Avert your eyes. Pound for pound, there's not even much more I want to dive into, honestly, on this episode. I think it was kind of fillery. It was kind of an interstitial episode. It set up a couple things that were important. And I guess it set up that we're just going to keep seeing all the Spartans' faces, right? Like, that's just going to happen. Take it or leave it. They ripped that Band-Aid off episode 1. But, I wish it was more like The Mandalorian, where he does it like once, right? And so maybe it is. Maybe it is just like a this episode thing. I don't know. It's like I want to say I don't hate it, but it just gives us such a different perspective and angle on Halo than we're used to. And that's scary, because change is scary. And I'm having a good time, though, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode, because now no one's seen, right? Like, episode 1 and 2 were premiered to people. So people have seen these 2 episodes before this. Episode 3, fresh, baby. Fresh. We did our exciting first episode. We did a, build up second episode. What's episode 3? Well, Cortana. So that's exciting. And that's going to be good. And she's going to kill it. Where are we going from here? So those are my thoughts. I'm going to watch it again. This is one that I don't know if I need to pay as much attention to. I can kind of throw it on the side while I'm working, only because it is just very dialogue heavy, which again, I don't think is bad. I think dialogue can be interesting, and I didn't really have any problems with the dialogue in this episode, except, no, not really. There's the occasional thing here and there where I was like, you were being a little like sitcom-y, like cheesy, where they're really saying what they're doing, and yeah, that's inevitable. And no, I don't think I struggle to really, from a technical perspective in all aspects, I struggle to fault this episode. It's just so hard to wipe away our preconceived notions about what Halo is and what it should be, and it's like we don't even know where it's going, and yada yada yada. So let me know your thoughts on the episode. I imagine a lot of people are similar. They're like, oh, especially off such a hot first episode, that this one feels more like a letdown. But I don't know. I'm just still excited for the next one. I'm still excited to see where it goes, and how cool is it going to be? Like, God, they better have some cool, like, mid-season cliffhanger, like end season. They have to cliffhanger stuff, right? Like, give us a tease of the Flood, or of Guilty Spark, or of like the Ring, or there's just no way they're getting to the Ring this season. There's too much, and that's what's weird. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts below. I appreciate you guys watching. If you don't follow me on Instagram, by the way, hit me up on Instagram. That is my social media of choice. Since I left Twitter forever ago now, Instagram, would love to have you guys there. Really appreciate you. And it's just so cool. And I promise you, I've been reading all your comments, whether or not I respond to them. But like, especially in these weird times, I feel like I say that about every time in Halo history. But yeah, at times right now, like this, you guys are just giving such interesting, deep, meaningful, thoughtful comments that are just a treat to read. That's something I've always wanted to foster in this community, and I've always appreciated you guys for doing. So thank you for continuing to do so. Hopefully I will see you on Instagram, just Greenskull on Instagram, and I will catch you next episode. Thanks for watching.